All right. Hey, everybody. I think I'm live now. So, hi to everybody that's watching. So, just to say it first, since I said that in the video description there'd be a surprise guest, then I got several people that seemed to think I was going to have Chris Stuckman on tonight. Um, for one thing, if I was going to have him on, I would advertise it because that would be kind of interesting, I think. And for another thing, if he watched my video, I don't think he'd want to be on my channel. I don't think he'd want to talk to me. I don't really blame him, I'm sure. But if he ever did want to talk to me, I wouldn't have a problem talking to him. Like I said, I don't have a personal vendetta. But I also, if I talked to him, I wouldn't lie and pretend that I like his movies. So I think it would be kind of an awkward conversation. But anyway, no, that is not the surprise guest. Like I said, I don't know Chris. Haven't talked to Chris. Um, as for the question, how am I feeling today? I have a cold. I'm kind of hopped up on Dayquil, so I'll try to mute it before I have to blow my nose, so you don't have to listen to that disgustingness. But I'm a little under the weather, but I arranged this with my friend here going back like a week, so I wanted to stick with it. So we'll see how long I last. My friend, the surprise guest that I have, excuse me, not starting already. So his name is Jared Stroop. He does a YouTube channel called Vanilla Skynet, and they do really cool. Well, actually, it's just him. I just called him they, but he does very cool compilation videos, like compilations of critical reactions, lots of vintage Siskel and Ebert stuff like that. Interviews with filmmakers, that kind of thing. So if you don't know his channel, check it out. Actually, he started talking to me a while back, and I realized that I already knew him because YouTube had already been sending me a lot of his videos. So he's done some pretty famous, pretty cool video compilations. So you might have already seen him, and if you haven't, it's Vanilla Skynet. But I wanted to do this to talk about Shelby Oaks, because I got harassed into doing a Shelby Oaks video. And so I made Jared watch Shelby Oaks so we could talk about that. He hasn't told me yet his reaction to Shelby Oaks. We're saving that for when we're live. So possibly Jared thinks that Shelby Oaks is an unsung masterpiece. I'm betting that's a little bit unlikely since I've seen Shelby Oaks. So, but who knows? We'll see what Jared has to say. And then I thought we would talk about that. We would talk about film critics and Chris Stuckman and film critics in general, and we talk about also upcoming videos on my channel and his, and all of that kind of stuff. So now I'll bring on Jared. You guys can say hi to him. Also, I'm trying a new microphone this time, so let me know if there's issues with the sound, because it's always a thing. Since I don't do that many live streams, I'm never confident that anybody can actually hear me. So you can always let me know in the comments if there's an issue. But without further ado, here is Vanilla Skynet.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Hey Jared, how's it going?
It's going all right, Gal. So yeah, I am the face behind Vanilla Skynet. I'm sure at least 5 people may have wondered this at some point in their life. And this is the guy.
Well, you do have some of your videos really get around, because I don't remember how we started talking. I think you messaged me about my Allen video.
I did. I definitely did. Yeah, I reached out to you from that because that was during. What did that come out during COVID?
Like right at the start.
Yeah, because I remember it was just like music to my ears. I was just so happy, and I remember reaching out to you because I was like, dude. At the time, I think I had I was like 99% sure he was innocent, and then your video sort of filled in that last percentage, and I was like, oh, thanks, man, that was awesome. Yeah, I was singing the praises for that for still to this day.
Yeah, I remember that after we started chatting, and then you said something about your YouTube channel, and then I was like, oh yeah, I've already seen a few of those videos. they do get around. I'm sure that people watching have seen some of them because YouTube promotes the big ones. So
Yeah, some of them did pretty well. Yeah, they seem to. People tell me. I get like comments from people I haven't seen since high school that are like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Oh." And first of all, I'm like, "How did you know it was me?" I wasn't even sure, but I guess I don't hide it as well as I think.
You're starting to realize that it does start to get around more. I guess after you have a video that 500,000 people watched, that's a lot of people. Because I've got messages from ex-boyfriends and stuff that are like, "Oh, I didn't know you had a YouTube channel," and it's like somehow it gets out there. So
yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, like when I initially started my channel, it was originally called James Cameron Crow, and then I did to me a much more pithy and clever combination of those two. But yeah, and then as I was telling you before, it was specifically because I wanted to put stuff on YouTube that I couldn't find on YouTube in isolation. And then I started doing mashups just for my own amusement. And then more and more, I started getting more kind of ambitious with the Siskel and Ebert compilations and that kind of stuff.
I think that's probably the first thing I saw was like your Siskel and Ebert to the Woody Allen one.
And each one, I've gotten better with those over the years too, because at first I just kind of threw. The first one I ever did was the Woody Allen one, the first version of it, and then the editing could be better, and I've sort of made them better over time. And I sometimes do updates and doing improved ones and different I try to make it worthwhile for everybody just to watch it again. Not just do the same thing over again. I add stuff to it, or I'll do that type of thing. Yeah.
Well, you could do those for lots of movies.
I get requests.
Directors, I guess.
Yeah, I get requests. I've already done, I think, 62 or 6, something like that. And because I have a playlist on my channel, so you can watch them all, something like that. And I think a couple of them aren't, though, so probably 60. And I've been working on Paul Schrader forever and Clint Eastwood, which Clint Eastwood in particular is a long one to get through. Because I try to include not just their filmmaking, if it's like Stallone or Clint Eastwood, it's like also the stuff that they acted in, that kind of thing. So I'm not trying to do just actors because, sometimes they have 100 credits. It's also more interesting to me to follow the director's body of work kind of in chronological order, sort of in real time, how it was being reacted to. I think it's kind of interesting. But
you said you did an updated Woody Allen one?
I mean,
the album was missing a few.
Once the Curse of the Jade Scorpion one finally was released, I did that's the last updated one I did. So I think you saw that one. You didn't? No. So I remember you were asking me about that before, that if I could find that one. I have my channels of finding these videos, but yeah, it is. I'm still at the mercy of whatever they post on the sources that I use. So sometimes they'll post something like right after I do a video, and I'm like, I could have used that.
Now people are talking.
I can barely hear Rick.
My mic is in my headphones, so it's literally attached to my head. So
you sound good on my end, but I don't know.
I sound good to you. I don't know. Maybe it's Here, I'll try one more thing, guys, real quick. I have another microphone I can set up, and if this isn't better, then I'm sorry. I just have to. It's the best we're doing for now. This is super. I sound like I have a cold because I have a cold. that might be part of the. That might be part of the reason. Okay. So I just hooked up a new microphone. Does that sound different, worse, better?
You definitely sound louder and more.
Louder?
Yeah, probably better to the listeners, I would assume.
Okay, well that's my without digging for other microphones, that's the other option I have now. So I'm going to try that for right now, guys. But anyway, okay. All right, people are saying that's better.
Way better. Okay, good.
Well, I won't use the headphones next time. I thought maybe that was better. So, well, okay. Now, I think we've done introductions. So, what did you think of Shelby Oaks?
All right. As I told you, I just finished it today. I put it on my list of to-dos for the past week. I have a couple of kids. I do stuff besides watch movies, unfortunately. I'd rather watch movies mostly. But so it takes me a minute to get to some things these days. So I finally got to it. I actually watched it in 2 halves. which I wasn't meaning to do. It just ended up happening that way. So
you didn't get the full impact of his
I know.
vision.
I know. Apparently, I did. No, I started it in the evening time. The first half I watched in the evening time. Second half I watched early afternoon. I felt the same both times, so it wasn't really the atmosphere. It didn't really help anything. I really wanted to. I was hoping that I would like love this movie and that you and I would like debate it. I think that would have been fun. I think that would have been funny. Because it would have been unexpected. Not that I assumed it was going to like be terrible or anything, but I just didn't have the highest hopes for it. I mean, even with producer Mike Flanagan involved, I don't know where his level of involvement even was, though. I don't know if you know.
I think he was kind of involved in the reshoots, but I couldn't say like he did this scene, Chris did that scene. I couldn't really. Chris claims full ownership of it. Still, he hasn't.
Gotcha.
He hasn't like said, "Oh, Mike ruined my movie" or anything like that. So.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you're not a big Mike Flanagan fan, I assume.
He's kind of hit and miss. I think of him kind of as being a mediocrity, but he's had a few good movies. I don't think he's.
He's a little like that new Mick Garris. You know what I mean? Where he just does like Stephen King adaptations. Like over, all the time. I think he has a lot of talent. I think Mike Flanagan is a perfectly talented guy. I've never seen the Haunting on Hill House, which people love. I saw like the first episode and it didn't grab me enough to keep watching it.
I saw one episode. Thought it was totally boring. Yeah, I love that book and everything. So, and I just thought the movie was like, the miniseries.
To me, Flanagan is really good at setup. And I don't usually like where it goes. I don't usually like the end. Now, that is a common horror movie thing anyway. So let me preface all this, or I guess preface maybe too late, but I'm a huge horror movie fan. The horror genre is one of the only genres that I make a point every year to watch, like whatever the 5 hot ones are that year. I always try to make, whether it's the Blumhouse one, the A24 one, the one I'm interested in, whatever, anything that's getting a lot of attention. Part of me, and while I agree with your video when you said like 90% of them are terrible or whatever, part of me does also agree with Stephen King where he says that the worst horror movie I ever saw was fucking great. I get, it's fun to watch in the right context. It's fun because sometimes you laugh at them, you can pick them apart, you can roll your eyes, but you're reacting to them, right? Horror movies are about reacting. So it's just fun to put on something that you're going to react to in some form or another. So the thing about especially modern horror films is that they have a really good setup a lot of times, and then the follow through is lousy. This movie's setup was interesting for like 5 minutes, and then I didn't like anything that it did. Like, you ever see The Vanishing at Cecil Hotel? The crime, it's like a true crime documentary on Netflix.
That's really interesting, actually.
It's super interesting. And that to me is an example of like, if you start with your premise, obviously spoiler alert, I assume I should, without saying. If you start
we're doing Shelby Oaks spoilers if you don't want the mind-boggling surprises to be revealed.
If you start your premise as this was the last footage of someone alive, that's an interesting hook, right? Like, you can do a lot with that. Right. To me, the Cecil Hotel one is a great example. Like the real story, that footage is eerie as shit, and how it unfolds is full of surprises and fascinating, speculation, and then the stranger than fiction type stuff that it ends up being, and then the hotel ends up being its own character, and the neighbor, all this stuff. It's really interesting. So I thought, and not to compare the two, I know they're trying to do different things, but I'm like, if you're going to do that, this was the last, footage of someone alive, you can do a lot of interesting stuff with it. And I just didn't feel like, I don't know if I thought any of the stuff was interesting, honestly.
Well, I try to talk about that a little bit in my videos. That's sort of what Lake Mungo does a little bit. Is Lake Mungo is kind of like, you're sort of looking at the video and you're like, you're not sure, like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? You're trying to is this real? Is it? You're trying to analyze, like, what is that? And in Shelby Oaks, it's just like, oh, it's a guy in a fucking demon costume. Like, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
The Cecil Hotel is really, really interesting because at first it's like, wow, that's creepy. That looks so weird. And then you realize there's a good explanation and you piece together. So yeah, the unfolding of it is really intriguing.
And it runs through.
There's no unfolding in Shelby Oaks.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. And also in the Cecil Hotel comparison is the reason I'm making it too, is because like it runs through the gamut of possibly being it makes you wonder, you're like, is there something weirdly supernatural here? No, it's got to be something else. And you kind of run through all of the possibilities. Is it a crazy person chasing her? What else? Blah, blah, blah. And then, you know what I mean? So if anyone hasn't watched that, I'm not even like a true crime junkie. That to me is one of the most fascinating true crime documentaries ever. And the reason I watched it originally was because William Friedkin actually recommended it on a podcast. And I was like, well, if he recommends it, I got to check it out. So,
if you do that really well, it's really interesting. Like look at sort of human nature, because like I thought Cecil Hotel was so interesting because a lot of people, their first inclination is to think like, you know, there's a mystery happening, and then in a full, you know, all these internet sleuths, and they like go after the wrong person.
Right, exactly.
They start targeting this guy and everything. And then, you know, it turns out, well, the elevator, like the door has an automatic closer. There's no ghost closing the elevator door.
Right.
It has an automated system, you know.
Right. She's not possessed. She didn't take her meds and shit like that. You're just like, oh man.
Human nature is like sometimes you go for the crazy explanation before the normal explanation.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely.
And that's really, and Lake Mungo kind of plays with that a little bit, because in Lake Mungo, a lot of it turns out to be there's a good explanation, you know. Shelby Oaks' good explanation is just like, oh yeah, it was the demon.
Yeah, and it's kind of set up early on to be that. It doesn't really do anything else with it, and also
it goes nowhere. Yeah,
aesthetically, okay. I thought setting it up like sort of like an internet documentary about what happened to them was fine. It was a perfectly fine way to set it up. And then it does that switch to film, like where it becomes like a movie. The bizarre thing about that is I thought, okay, let's see what it's doing now. This could be interesting. The bizarre thing about that was then she sits down and watches the home video for like 10 minutes. I was just confused by the choice. I was like, what? I was like, we just watched like the shitty footage version. And then we switched to like the real footage. Like this is like the movie, the cinematic stuff. And then as soon as we do that, it just goes back. It just closes like close up on the shitty version. The shitty video, and then back to her, and then shitty. I was just confused by that choice, honestly.
What was the point to any of it? He tried to do like a big dramatic transition to like the real footage too. Mm-hmm. There's like a couple really hyper stylized shots. It's supposed to be like, oh, now we went from the video to the real world, but then it's like, okay, so there's no meaning to the transition.
I'm surprised your video didn't mention Twin Peaks. Because that's the first movie I was thinking of was, Who Killed Laura Palmer. He's doing some version of that. Who Took Riley? Is that what it is, or something like that?
I had a friend that saw Shelby Oaks at a film festival, and he brought me some of the Shelby Oaks promotional materials because he thought I would like it. They're handing me a little card that said, "Who Took Riley Brennan?" or something like that.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be their hook, and it was like, well, the hook is like. Who the fuck cares?
Right. Yeah, and I saw, speaking of that, I don't know the extent of their marketing, but I saw on Instagram something I was following was like, they got, these people got real footage of paranormal activity or whatever. And it was like a video of a bunch of kids or 20-year-olds or whatever in some, basement somewhere. And then there was a demon-looking thing at the door, and they screamed or whatever. And I was like, I thought it was probably a promotion for something, and that was in the movie. So I'm like, oh, it was a promotion for Shelby Oaks. They tried to pretend that like one of the videos was like a real video. I mean, I don't even know if they even tried that hard to try to Blair Witch the marketing. Like I didn't really see much else. But
I think they were they did some fake episodes of the Paranormal Paranoids. The show that right. I think that they were trying to do viral stuff with that, but it doesn't work at all because like the reason that worked for Blair Witch was because people really thought that was a real footage.
Yeah, they were 25 years into the stuff.
Yeah, Shelby Oaks. There's no pretense in the movie that it's real footage, so it's like, so why? It's like somebody saw Blair Witch 20 years later. They didn't understand the joke. It was so freaking weird. I was thinking about stuff I didn't talk about in my video, but like when something scary is supposed to happen, and on the soundtrack there's like a heartbeat sound on the soundtrack. I was like, I can't believe they're actually doing this in like 2025. Like, or when there's like a jump scare, they do like A24 jump scare music sting, and I was just like, how do they not know that this is so fucking old that it's a joke now?
And that's the thing too, is that when you're releasing a movie, now granted, if he had just made this independently, it was crowdfunded, right? I saw at the end, like all the names, like 10 minutes of names. I'm too loud.
Could you maybe turn yours down a little bit?
Okay, sorry.
It might be. It's okay.
My breathing's too loud. Let me move this. Sorry, I got the sniffles too. I apologize. Hopefully.
Okay.
Is that better? Am I just talking too loud?
No. I'm just trying to
get the levels right. I get it. There's test. If I get excited, start talking like this is super loud still. I turned it down and moved it away from me a little bit. Maybe I need to change this setting. Maybe I need to change this setting. Where am I at? How do I sound now?
You sound a little bit lower.
A little bit lower?
It's okay. I don't think it's a big problem. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
I'm just getting persistent comments, so I'm trying to.
It's the mic that's too loud, picking up everything. Is it still picking up everything? Should I try different settings? Is it still picking up everything?
It's just hard for me to tell because I can hear you, but I can't hear me. So it's like.
Yeah. Same here. Is this better now? Or should I turn it all the way over? Is that better now? Yeah, how's that? I'm just changing.
About the same.
About the same.
Okay, guys. I don't. It's okay, guys. I don't want to spend too much time just messing with it. I'm sorry if it's a little bit. It's a little bit off. We're just slightly better. We'll go with
slightly.
We'll go with Cedric Diggory saying it's slightly better.
All right. Maybe, yeah. I wonder if it's because there's too much space between me and the mic, and it's picking up all the dead air between. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I am in my basement. There's a lot of house sounds, so if it's picking up everything, it's picking up everything. I'm sure.
Okay. Well, yeah. I don't want to spend forever messing with the mic.
That's all good.
I think it's okay. I'll go with this. You're both intelligible to me. It sounds good enough.
That's good enough, I suppose. I mean, that's the best compliment I've heard in a long time, actually.
As long as we're intelligible. So,
yeah. So, yes, is what were we talking about before that?
I was talking about the heartbeat noise on the sound.
Oh yeah, right.
I just couldn't even believe, like, you would think having Flanagan for a producer, he'd be like, okay, guy, this is like really cheesy. Apparently nobody told him. Yeah.
That was the other thing I was going to say was that when you're, yes, okay, so Mike Flanagan's involvement, backtracking. Had he released this on like the internet as a crowdfunded, DIY movie, and he somehow got Keith David or whatever, I'd be like, good for him. And I still good for him regardless. I'm not trying to say that. But because he has Mike Flanagan and Neon released it, I'm like, you're literally competing with like Weapons. And I thought Weapons was terrific. And Weapons is a great example of a movie that uses the setup perfectly, because the way in which, again, spoilers for Weapons, if people haven't seen that, but the way in which that movie's structured, it keeps refreshing the setup, because it keeps showing, we keep seeing the different characters and starting their story and catching up with them later, and doing all that kind of fun narrative stuff. But as a result, it keeps postponing the potentially disappointing third act that happens so often with horror movies. And I thought Zach did a great job of like making most of the movie the setup, and then like that last 10% was actually really fun, like really terrific.
That's Krieger's strength, I think. Is you say Krieger? Yeah. I think that's just with Barbarian and Weapons. I think he's really good at playing with. You're trying to figure out like what's going on, and it's that expectation is really interesting, and then it kind of takes a couple turns you don't expect. Mm-hmm. In Barbarians and Weapons, I think both of them, after you actually figure out what's happening, that's the problem, because then it kind of like, oh, okay.
Usually, I agree with you. Weapons, I thought still stayed fun. I definitely agree with Barbarian for that one, but I thought Weapons stayed fun. To me, it went a long way that he had her just crash all those houses at the end during the big final chase scene. I just thought that was a ton of fun. I just thought that just cracked me up.
Yeah, Barbarian's probably more than Weapons. I think Barbarian's the last act. It just wasn't as interesting after the questions were answered. But he's really, really good. Like the first 2/3 when you're trying to figure it out, it's really, really interesting.
That's usually where a horror movie's strength is. That's what I was saying about Shelby Oaks. Is like I was like, this movie is literally predicated on a mystery, and literally we're just watching like raw footage for so much of it.
The mystery is just that she was kidnapped, right? Like that's the whole, I guess the twist is that the demon was knocking her up, but like you can see that coming pretty early. Right. Like an hour beforehand. I mean, sure.
But yeah, the fact that he got Keith David and that actress that was in at the end, again, that ending scene, which I essentially agreed with when you said like in your video how it kind of got a little interesting at that point for a minute. I thought the way the house was shot was really. I liked like the way that it was set up with the two lamps and like the her sitting in the middle of all that and like that weird house that she was in. I thought that stuff looked pretty good. I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. Yeah, and then it.
Yeah, that was where I said in my video, I'm willing to say like some people thought I had it out for Stuckman. I thought it was good. I was willing to point to the stuff I thought was good, and I thought it at the house it kind of picked up for a minute. I thought maybe it was good. But then they don't do anything with it, And at the end, if they would have really went into like the demon vampire baby thing, I really did think that could have been fun. I couldn't tell when they did the insert shot when like the dogs are eating Riley. Yeah. And then he does like the insert shot to the babies just kind of cheerfully in his crib, I was like, okay, if he's trying to tell us that like the demon baby is sending the dogs to eat his mom because the mom tried to kill him, right?
Right.
I thought, okay. If that was the implication, I thought, okay, this could be fun. Like the demon baby is like mentally having the hellhounds come and eat people, Right. That could have been a fun movie. If you would have got there 45 minutes earlier and made the movie about the demon baby that kills people,
Yeah, that could have been fun.
If there was like a string of people like trying to murder the demon baby, and every time somebody gets close to the baby like telepathically has his hellhounds come and eat people, That could have been at least something. Right? That could have been a movie, right? I would watch that movie.
I also, again, not to belabor the Cecil Hotel point, but I also think any sort of internet-style mystery is only more interesting if it turns out to not be a demon or not be a ghost or not be paranormal. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it reverted to that almost too readily. And did what I mean? Once I saw that in the picture there was like a demon or whatever, I was just like, okay, like, and it didn't really do anything else with it. That would,
Lake Mungo spoilers. If you guys haven't seen Lake Mungo,
I haven't. You were mentioning it in the video, and I was like, I forgot about this movie. I never saw it. I never saw it though.
You mind me spoiling it for you?
Oh, go ahead. It's fine.
That in Lake Mungo, that is sort of the twist about 2/3 of the movie. You figure there's all this creepy stuff in the videos, and you think like maybe it's paranormal or whatever. I think for a while you're supposed to think like, oh, it's dead people coming back, so it looks like the dead person is still in the videos. But it turns out that there's actually a non-supernatural explanation. And the non-supernatural explanation is much more interesting because it turns out there was kind of like a conspiracy, people doing shady stuff around this person's death. And that ends up being a much more interesting. But for a while you think like, oh, it's ghosts or whatever. And the real explanation turns out to be a much better, much more creepy, much better explanation, And that's what does.
That can go both ways too. Like it can be a little disappointing if it's just like, oh, it's just some dude or whatever, you know what I mean? But like, it can also be more interesting depending on what's going on. Actually,
if there's a story to it, if the non-supernatural explanation has an interesting story to it,
right.
But what's the story in Shelby Oaks? It's just, I guess, the demon is trying to make demon babies, I guess.
Now that shot.
In Rosemary's Baby, it's the coming of the Antichrist, right? It's kind of like
right.
There's a whole thing,
Right.
I don't know what the demon trying to do.
Well, and Rosemary's Baby also paints a fascinating portrait of like a sort of a community that's turning you into something and stuff,
And they very subtly imply that there's like this cult that's been spending 100 years trying to get the perfect woman to create the Antichrist and all this stuff. That's really interesting. And Shelby Oaks is just kind of like this redneck guy and his mom are bringing this one girl out to the cabin for some reason.
Yeah. And also, again, I think that some critic, at least on the poster, compared it to Hereditary, which I can see. I mean, I can see on the surface making some comparison because of the whole sort of like, apparently there's demonic forces behind the thing or whatever. But that's a pretty ludicrous comparison too. Now, does anyone have any clue like how well this did? If Chris is working on something else? If there's anything down the pipeline, if this did well enough to get him another one?
I don't think it's doing too great because his recent videos, he's been doing these like really whorish ads for like predatory gambling games, like in the middle of his. He did a 5-minute Wicked review. I didn't watch it because his videos give me a headache. But I read he did like a 5-minute Wicked review, and like right in the middle of the view, there's like a 2-minute ad for this predatory gambling Wicked game. That's like, it's like one of those slot machine games to rope in seniors with dementia, But there's like a 2-minute commercial right in the middle of a 5-minute review. So I don't think that he's
doing so hot.
I don't think he's got like any $1 million sequel deals lined up. Not that
if he's tuning in, which I'd be surprised, he should go on the Movie Crypt if he hasn't. If he's looking some way to sell his movie, the Movie Crypt podcast with Adam Green and Joe Lynch, that would be a good place for him to go if he wants to kind of get. Because basically, your best bet when you're doing what he's doing is to get the horror fan base into you. He's got his like internet followers or whatever. Now, if he actually tried to bait the horror, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know which ones of them are really going to get on it.
Shelby Oaks made $6 million off of a $1 to $1.4 million budget, not counting streaming or rentals. Maybe it'll turn a profit. I think that the budget I heard was more like $2 million because they had to pay for reshoots. But after advertising and stuff, that's about breaking even. I would guess. $6 million. $2 million budget. I don't know. Yeah, and I feel like if he wanted to lean more into the Twin Peaks aspect of it, again, what you got to do is actually make interesting characters, and that movie really suffered from interesting characters, like really badly. And he didn't write a part for any of the characters besides Mia. Mia's the main woman.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what can you point to any other character that had a personality besides the witch? I mean,
you got and you got Keith David, which I feel like I know he does a lot of regular parts, but he's also like, I feel like you can do something with him. I mean, my gosh, I don't know how we got him. I don't know the story behind that. Do you happen to know the story behind that? I
don't know. I mean, the woman that played the witch, I pointed out in my video that she's a legit actor. She's mostly done small parts, but she's been in, she's got a real filmography. So. Yeah. He had a couple real actors, but he just didn't write anything for them to do.
That's what I mean. Like, I didn't want to come out. I wasn't trying to hate watch it, and I wasn't trying to do anything like that. I've made a movie that was very low budget and very like no one saw it. I get it. Like it's a good job that you did anything, but like the fact that like it's got Mike Flanagan and neon behind it and some actual actors in it, I'm like, okay, well, this is what you're throwing your hat in the ring. You're throwing your hat in the ring with some actual people now, and yeah, it was kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, he very definitely wanted it to be a real movie. That was it wasn't supposed to be a So so it's fair to judge it by the standards. Of
exactly.
Real movies. I mean, it's not being mean or anything. It's just
and I had to check myself to make sure that it wasn't. I had no inkling of like, I'm just a jealous YouTuber who wants to make a movie too, and this is what you did with your chance. Like I was trying to make sure I didn't have any of those kind of biases going on in there, and I was doing my best to give it the old college try. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I know people I get that too. People are like, "Oh, well, what have you ever done? At least you made a movie." And it's like, yeah, but I mean, that doesn't mean you can never criticize a movie just because oh well, at least you made it. I mean, that's not really it's not. It doesn't mean every movie's good just because it got made. You know, I mean,
right. Of course.
It's still fair to talk about it. I mean, I wasn't trying to be extra mean or anything. I don't.
Yeah, I didn't think you were. I thought you handled it very well. I'm sure people wanted you to go more for the jugular or something, but it's not like you have a personal vendetta, right? So,
no. I mean, I think I went pretty hard on his Star Wars reviews already. Because,
yes,
right. His Star Wars reviews are really, really stupid.
Yeah.
You know, but I never had a personal. I think he's probably, there's a lot of sort of YouTube personalities that are really punchable, that are really obnoxious. I don't think he's far from the worst, you know.
Sure.
I think he's middle of the road. But,
I didn't actually know much about him before I watched your Star Wars video, and I remember coming across his videos at some point when I saw him in your videos, and I was just like, "Oof, yeah, he doesn't really come off great in those."
No,
that's not your fault.
No, I mean, his early reviews are really bad. There's also, you know, I watched his video about growing up Jehovah's Witness and how he wasn't allowed to watch movies when he was a little kid and all.
I did not know that. So he wants to be Wes Craven, I guess.
Well, I mean, that explains a lot. It's sort of like the gaps in his cultural knowledge.
Sure.
You know? And so, you know, I get it, but it's still, it doesn't make him right when he said something that was wrong. You know,
right, of course.
He's got that. But I mean,
Wes Craven, of course, grew up in a very strict, I think, Baptist household. He was only allowed to watch Disney movies his whole childhood, and then his first film was a sort of exploitation, you know, remake, so to speak, of Virgin Spring by Bergman, you know, Last House on the Left. So that's where he did with his first film. Now I think he had done some porn before that or something, but that was his first official feature. But that was the road he took. Has Stuckman done porn?
God, I hope not. Jesus Christ. I mean, like,
changes the name of his last name, right? Yeah, good.
The whole, I mean, the sheltered upbringing thing only takes you so far, though, because like, what is he now? Almost 40. You know, it's like you've had time to watch the movie,
right?
It's like
Paul Schrader's also had a similar, I think, right? He had like a Calvinist. Strict Calvinist, Paul Schrader, didn't he have like a strict he like didn't see anything till college too. He's another one, and then he's watched like strictly like foreign movies and like the Searchers, you know, and like that seems to be where he got most of his influence.
There's a point where, there's people give Chris leniency because he's where he came from. Even George Lucas was a kid from Modesto, exactly. Because I mean, at a certain point. You know, I didn't go to film school or anything. At a certain point, you have the ability to educate yourself. You know, you can't just keep blaming your childhood until you're 40.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
Does he? George Lucas? No, I don't think Chris Stuckman really blames it. But a lot of people bring it up. It's like,
gotcha.
You know, he escaped a cult, and it's like, well, George Lucas has talked about how, you know, George Lucas he didn't even really watch movies until he was in his late teens. He had like TV, you know, and in Modesto, they would just show, you know, he didn't see, I think the quote I use in my videos, you know, they don't play Godard films in Modesto, you know.
Also, that's good. Yeah. Also, John Ford didn't grow up watching movies.
You know? Yeah. Well, lots of them did. So it's not like, you know, at a certain point, it's your own responsibility at some point. But yeah. So, okay. So neither of us were big,
well, it's probably my least favorite movie of the year so far, honestly. But I've only seen like 15 movies from this year so far because I have kids. It's very hard for me to watch movies. There's certain ones I make a point to watch, of course. One battle after another. I was there first show, first day, etc. Like that kind of thing. I have to. My wife understands. It's like I gotta go do it. Friday, Kill Bill, Whole Bloody Affair. Bucket list for me.
I'm going to see it like almost a week from Friday because the good seats sold out around here.
I got third row center.
Seat. Yeah, so I wanted a good seat. So I'm waiting a week, but I'm very pumped for that.
Now, if you want to talk Kill Bill.
Well, have you
Kill
ever
Bill.
known what a lot of I know there's the new anime sequence, but do we know what the other? Because there's almost a half an hour added. Do we know what?
I wondered. I know he did the Crazy 88 sequences in color because that was like the Asian release originally. He also did it that way because he said the Asian audiences can handle it. But so I know it
to be in color. Yeah.
So it does that and extended anime sequence. It can't be that extended though, right? I was wondering that too.
There's the new anime is supposed to be 7 minutes. They said.
Okay, yeah.
But there's almost a half an hour extra if you look at the runtime. So I don't know. It's going to be.
I'm excited. So what I was actually known as the Kill Bill obsessive when I was in high school. It's ridiculous. I'm immortalized in the senior yearbook as a result. And I worked on the senior yearbook, and I didn't even know this until years later that they put me in there as like some specialty Kill Bill fanatic.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like I slipped it in there, but yeah. So now I know.
I love Kill Bill. I've always kind of felt like we never really saw the real version of it because I knew it was supposed to be one movie. I knew Crazy 88 was supposed to be in color, So I've always kind of felt like I'd love to see it.
And if anyone has ever seen the original trailer, boy, did that get me excited because I'm 39, so when I was 11 when Jackie Brown came out, and as an 11-year-old, Jackie Brown was not on my radar. Someone did comment earlier. I saw they wanted you to defend Jackie Brown being your favorite, so we can get into that in a second. But From Dusk Till Dawn is what got me into Quentin when I was like 10 or 11, and I was obsessed with that movie. I wrote him a letter explaining to him that my brother and I would play From Dusk Till Dawn outside and that he would be Seth and I would be Richie, which is fucked up, but it's true. And so that's what got me into him. And then by the time Kill Bill was about to come out, I had gotten obsessed. I watched all of his stuff and became obsessed with him. And so I was all in on the fact that finally, now that I'm 17, he's finally releasing like a movie I can go see. And couldn't have been more exciting. I saw it twice opening day, twice the next day. And again, the Sunday. I saw it 5 times opening weekend, which is crazy. And I took my grandma to see it. That was fun. Especially the buck scene. The reason I brought her is because she liked kung fu movies growing up, when she was younger and stuff. So, and she had like horror movies in her collection and stuff.
I found the comments you were talking about.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So like for me, like I printed the entire Kill Bill script from my dad's computer, like old printer from like the early 2000s. I used up all of our paper and all of our ink to do it. And it was like 400 pages. And I got it off of, I think it was like either the Tarantino Archives or might have even been like Ain't It Cool News. Speaking of Harry Knowles. I think it was one of those sites that was doing it. And so I was on top of it. And then that first trailer that came out for it was like amazing. And then they recut it and do it, to the volume 1 trailer and all that stuff. And I remember hearing at the time Harvey Weinstein wanted to cut it in 2 parts, and I was like, oh man. And then when I went to see it, when it had that cliffhanger at the end, I was like, what the? I was like, leave me hanging with that shit. Okay, so yeah, it was like extra kind of maddening but amazing all at the same time, But yeah, I was like, yeah, I was way into it.
I don't know if are there any famous deleted scenes in the script? Those may be part of the extra half hour.
That's a good question. It's been so long since I looked through that thing. I just remember he used a lot of lion imagery in the script that he took out. I think probably for the best that he took out in the movie. He mentions it at the very end. The lioness is reunited with her cub or whatever. Yeah, and she's hugging the lion. Stuffed animal at the end. So yeah, but he superimposed, the script has superimposing of it. This guy might
he's very observant. I think you might like
yeah, so I was all about it. I was annoyingly obsessive about it. And all I heard from people was how it was all style over substance. It was too violent. It was this. It was that. My mom didn't like it at all. But then I took my mom to Volume 2, and she loved it. So that worked out. Speaking of Joe,
I don't know if is saying Jackie Brown is his best movie. I don't think that's really a hot take anymore, because I know a lot of people have said that in recent years. I've heard a lot of directors and things. I've said Jackie Brown is his best movie I've said that for 20 years. But I do love Kill Bill would probably be my second favorite.
I don't even know what my favorite is at this point. I'd have to like go through them again. I'm at that place with them right now where I love them all. But Jackie Brown is a great pick. Yeah, I love Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown, and every time it gets to the end, I just want to throw it back on again. But, it's one of those kinds of movies.
He calls it. I remember he called Jackie Brown his hangout movie, where you just hang out with. It's just you just spend time with the characters. It's really. I mean, the plot is really good. It's got the Elmer Leonard. The plot is good, but you just kind of enjoy. That's why I like it. I think that movie is really suited to his dialogue.
Absolutely.
You don't mind just having the characters chat for 20 minutes, because it's like that's kind of the point. Kill Bill is more propulsive. It's more about the Jackie Brown
dialogue is secondary. The dialogue is secondary, particularly to Volume 1. Yeah,
because so some of the more action-oriented ones, when you do like the big dialogue, it kind of feels like the movie pauses, for a while. Jackie Brown is kind of the whole vibe is you're just sort of chilling with all the people,
Well, and the combination of Elmore Leonard's dialogue and Quentin's dialogue, really, like that movie, to me, Jackie Brown has like some genuinely wise and just substantial pieces of dialogue that I use in like every day. My wife uses one all the time. You can't trust Melanie, but you can always trust Melanie to be Melanie is one of ours. I say all the time, I'm glad you pointed that out, because it saves me the trouble of pointing it out to you. There's just so many, and just all the actors are just chewing it up. I love it. I enjoy the hell of that movie.
Yeah, though I don't know about those two particularly, but a lot of those are Elmer Leonard lines, right? Some of the he did preserve a fair amount of dialogue from.
It's a perfect combination of his flair of it, and his. Did I ever tell you I met Elmer Leonard? Ever tell you about that?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, it was. He was promoting. It was at a Barnes and Noble in Birmingham, around Detroit. He was promoting his son's book. Peter Leonard had written a book, and I went there because I was like, "Holy shit, Elmer Leonard's!" And I went there and I watched them talk for a minute, and then everyone got in line. It's the kind of asshole I am. Everyone got in line to get their book signed by Peter. Elmer stepped aside, and I went straight to Elmer and just waited for him to kind of stop talking to the person he was talking to, and then he just eventually looked at me, and I was like, "Just had one question for you. Why isn't La Brava a movie?" You ever read La Brava?
No.
Oh, it's great. It's one of those books where you can just see the movie as you're reading it too. And he went, "Yeah, I always wondered that too." I was like, got him. So and he used it to promote his new book because one of the characters was returning in his new book or whatever. But so I just kind of had my little moment with Elmer. It was pretty cool.
Out of Elmore and Peter, I think everybody would rather meet Elmore. It's the downside of having a famous father. If you're Joe Hill, and it's like no matter how good of a writer you are, your dad's always Stephen King.
Right.
You're not going to be bigger than Stephen King. So
my dad's not like famous, but he is a musician and he's known like in his community and stuff like that. And so I have like a small version of that. Like I grew up going to like music festivals and being brought up on stage and being like, "Here's my son," and my brother would be there too, and that kind of stuff. So I had like a weird behind the scenes backstage kind of upbringing a little bit. And so part of me wanted to make a documentary about like those people, like the people who are, I guess they're called Nepo babies now, but just in general, the idea of somebody who's like in the shadow of their parent and just kind of like explore them and see what it's like, what they think, how they've been affected by it. Are there times when they're like, "Oh, this is like my dad, I shouldn't do that," and there are times they're like, "This is like my dad, I should do that," or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, at what point do you separate yourself? At what point do you sort of keep it in mind?
I think that's interesting. I think most of the whole Nepo baby thing is usually pretty stupid. I mean, of course, there's some cases where people would use it to get their kids jobs, the job that the kid doesn't deserve. But
right.
I think in most cases there's nothing wrong with going into the family business. There's nothing
That's
wrong
usually
with, and I think what irritates me about a lot of stuff is people kind of view movies as like an office job that is supposed to be like an equal opportunity employer, and it's
right.
but it's an art form, and so of course you want to work with people that you have a relationship with, and you want to work with people that you know, then you know their family. So that makes sense to me, you know. And a lot of people think that it's supposed to be like casting this net just of the whole, you know. That's not really how it works.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to work with people that you have a comfort level with them and people that you know, you know.
Right. And they always say it's who you know. It's all that stuff, and that's like,
And it's that way in every. I mean, that's all the comic books that I've had published are. I mean, hopefully it's because they liked my comic books and they wanted to publish them. But it's a matter of, you know, I went to conventions. I made friends with people. I knew people, and so when they're doing like they're doing an anthology or whatever, they think of the people that they know, and they're like, oh, I remember that guy, you know. So they would send me an email, and there's nothing wrong with that. That you want to have like a personal relationship with people, you know.
For sure. And if your dad was the one that helped you get that or whatever, you probably would wonder for the rest of your life if you were good enough. So there's that kind of drawback.
That's true too. It is. You do wonder. Yeah. At least I don't have like a famous dad, so I know at least it's because they liked me and they thought you know, they thought it was interesting.
I've heard
you know, Anne Rice's son Christopher Rice is always gonna, everything he gets published, somebody's gonna say it's just because of who his mom was. You know, I mean, no matter how many books he does.
Now, what do you think of like Jacob Dylan, for instance?
See, I think Jacob Dylan is a good musician. He's never going to be his dad because nobody's his dad.
Right.
I mean, you know, Mozart isn't Bob Dylan. You know, Bob Dylan is a one-off. There's nobody else that's Bob. So it's, you know, if you're Bob Dylan's kid and you have musical talent and you want to make music, what do you do? Just not make music because of who your dad is, you know? So it's like...
he also doesn't lean into the Dylan part. He's just like, I'm the Wallflowers guy.
Yeah. Even he looks a fair amount like his dad too.
Sure.
Yeah. I think he's a good musician, and that kind of. I think he'd probably be a bigger musician if people didn't always think like, oh yeah, you know, he just got a record deal because of his dad. You know,
that could be. Yeah.
I think because there's going to be a certain number of people that just write you off, you know, because they think that you didn't earn it just because. You know.
Yes, I heard someone refer to Paul Thomas Anderson that way years ago because his dad, Ernie Anderson. And I'm like, yeah, Ernie got him the cake. Like, yeah, Gilardi was his in. You know, it's like that. He just grew up around that stuff because of him. But it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like he was this muscle.
You got to look at the person. I think Paul Thomas Anderson has proven that he's a deserving talent. You know, I think on the other end, there's people like. I don't know, just to name a name, there's J.J. Abrams, who grew up, you know, everybody in his family is involved in the entertainment industry. And I would say, I don't think J.J. Abrams has ever had an original idea in his life. He attaches himself to franchises that other people created. And he does, you know, sometimes a mediocre take, sometimes a god-awful take. But
those are his two gears.
He's got the two toggles, the mediocre and god-awful. But you know, I don't think what is like an amazing J.J. Abrams idea that would have put him on the map if he didn't have those connections. There aren't any. You know?
I mean, maybe his TVs. Do you don't think his TV? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Regarding Henry, are you a Regarding Henry fan? I've never seen it. I like Mike Nichols, but I've never seen it.
Big Felicity fan, maybe? No, I think like, you know, Lost. I give credit for everything that's good in Lost is you know, Lindelof and other people. I don't think that. J.J. Abrams is, you know, he's stuck around for all of 10 minutes on Lost.
Yeah,
because I like Lost. I just don't think that
it was much because of him.
I don't think that J.J. Abrams had a thing to do with it. You know,
it annoyed me when people called him the new Spielberg. I made this point over and over again to people. I said, "Well, okay." I think at the time he had 5 movies or whatever. I was like, "Look at his 5 movies: Mission Impossible 3, Super 8, Greatest Hits of Spielberg." Star Trek, the god awful Star Trek 2, and then I think Force Awakens. I think those were his first 5. And I'm like, compare that to Spielberg. Duel, if you want to count it, Sugarland Express, Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1941, all originals. Versus, you know what I mean? remakes and sequels.
Yeah,
And
even Sugarland Express is a really really good movie. Even like a Scorsese has a Boxcar Bertha or whatever, like something where they're just they just want to have a credit, they just want to make a movie, so they take any job. Spielberg was doing pretty much good stuff from the beginning.
Right, and also original stuff. It wasn't, like
original stuff. Yeah,
whether Abrams could have been the new Spielberg, to me, remains to be seen, because he wasn't doing it at the beginning. To me, he was.
No, I say Abrams has never had an original idea, and people say, "Oh, what about Super 8?" And Super 8 is like a Spielberg fan film. It's just a Spielberg greatest hits track.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
yeah, JJ completely lost me. I was never like a huge fan, but I at least was like, yeah, sure, JJ, he's something. And at this point, I'm like, what is he even working on? Do you know?
J.J. Abrams, he was supposed to. Well, see, his production company, he attaches himself to all this shit, like the Batman animated series reboot, which turned into garbage, and he attaches himself to Batman, to this, to that, and he just tries to put his name on these famous things, but he doesn't have anything. I think he's supposed to. There's some movie he's supposed to be doing, but I don't know if it's an original concept or not. But I think he's made just a whole career of like slapping his name on Star Trek, on Batman, on Star Wars.
Now, I actually don't know your opinion of Star Trek. Like not his, but like in general. Like, are you like a Next Generation guy? Do you not like any of it? Do you like some of it?
Oh well, no. I grew up with Next Generation. When I was a kid, I was a big Next Generation Trekker. I was super into that. Really
seems like you would have been, yeah. Because I know a lot of people who were. I liked it a little bit, but I never got like super into it. I was always just way more into the original cast.
Well, you're 39, so you're like a few years. So Next Generation was maybe a little. I started watching Next Generation about halfway through, when it was in probably the peak years when I was a little kid. So I think you kind of came along a little bit after it, maybe. So
I know people who like that one. That's like they like love it. Yeah, that's like a huge one for people.
During the peak, Next Generation was really really cool, and it was a big deal at the time. Like you would go into Target and there'd be like a whole aisle of all the figures, and it was a big deal. Like how movies used to be back then. When a movie was a big thing, there would be 10 million toys, and it was on all the time.
Right. Still works. My kid, like if I give her a toy of the thing we're watching, she gets into it even more. So you know what I mean. So we were watching Gremlins last night, and I pulled the old Gizmo out, and she got way into it. So
I have my Gremlins all around here, but I was gonna start pulling down stuff, but I'd make a mess.
So what's up with this Gremlins 3 Christopher Columbus business? Because I saw you post something about it, but I don't really know about it.
Well, they're doing a new movie, and he swears it's going to be a sequel, not a reboot. He's going to, whatever. But I think he means just a sequel to the first one. I'm pretty sure they're ignoring the second.
Wow, doing that old thing. Yeah.
And and it's Chris Columbus is directing it, but Joe Dante directed the first two. Chris Columbus, all he did. If you've ever read Chris Columbus's script for the first Gremlins, it's very, very different than what Joe Dante actually made.
Isn't it doesn't Gizmo become the bad gremlin in the original script?
Yes, Christopher Columbus's script was much more R-rated, much more violent. And I think he said it was a Spielberg note that he said one of the Mogwais has to be a good guy. Because originally, Columbus had all the Mogwais turn into gremlins and go crazy. And Spielberg was like, you need a monster that people like. You have to have, one of them has to be good, which that's pure Spielberg, right? He wants the audience empathy. So, and that was a good note on that one, because Columbus was going to make something much darker, and I think it was still supposed to be like a horror comedy, but it was much more R-rated and much more upsetting. And Spielberg was like trying to find some likability to it,
Sure, right.
I think that's what saves it, because Gizmo is so lovable and the Stripe is genuinely disturbing,
Right.
So but they're doing the reboot, I think Joe Dante also brought a lot of humor to it.
100%, and satire too, especially the second one.
Yeah, the second one, was you could say maybe went too far, but I like the second one, but
I love that Joe Dante said that. Sorry, I said I love that Joe Dante said that Key and Peele sketch was pretty much what it was like. You ever seen the Key and Peele sketch? Oh, the Key and Peele sketch about Gremlins 2 is pretty damn funny. You should look it up. Yeah. It's hard. I can't do it justice. Trying to do it. So I would just recommend watching it. It's like it's like a guy comes in. Peele plays a guy who comes in. He's supposed to help change the, you punch up the script, and he basically just goes through the whole room, and they come up with the craziest gremlin. Each one kind of comes up with the craziest gremlin idea that they can come up with, and it's like, yes, it's in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of thing. I want Hulk Hogan. How about Hulk Hogan shows up at one point? Yes, it's in the movie. That kind of shit. Keegan plays Joe Dante. Which is pretty funny.
Yeah, that's kind of, I like Gremlins too, but it's a different kind of thing. That's why I'm assuming Christopher Columbus is going to go back to the first one, I think. But I don't know. I guess I'll probably see it. You think it'll be any good with Chris Columbus?
I haven't liked the Chris Columbus movie since like his early stuff, which I have like soft spots for. But I think Mrs. Doubtfire was like the last one that I kind of like. So yeah, it's been a while.
Mrs. Doubtfire's the last time we did a movie that wasn't shit. Probably Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, I don't like his Rent. I don't really care for his Harry Potter movies that much.
Rent was his master.
Yeah.
And I loved Rent. I was a big Rent head when I was a kid, and that movie was so disappointing. Yeah,
it was rough because that was actually the first time I watched anything to do with Rent. I had I dated theater people and stuff, and was friends with theater people who loved it, but I didn't really know it very well. And then so that was the first exposure I had to it, and I was like. And then I actually listened to the Broadway recording of it, and I got super into it after that. And now every year, I'm probably going to watch it again this year. It's one of our staples. We watched the Broadway, the final Broadway performance of it. That's one of our Christmas area, one of our staples during this time of year. So, but yeah, I don't touch his.
Really good. His movie, the movie's just a disaster. The movie's so bad. It's just a bad.
And then he's doing Christmas. The Christmas movies with Christmas Chronicles or whatever with whatever they're called with Kurt Russell. I think he did one of those. They're straight to Netflix.
Was the Percy Jackson movie that was?
Yeah, yep.
So bad.
Yeah. So I don't have high hopes for. I haven't had high hopes for him in a long time.
I thought his Harry Potter movies, to me, I thought they were barely even movies. They were just pure, fan service, the fans, it's just all the scenes that the fans wanted to see in a movie. But as a movie, they don't even hold, there's no flow from one scene to the next. They don't even make sense.
Do you like any of the Harry Potter movies?
The only one I think is any good is I kind of like the Crimes of Grindelwald. Did you see the Fantastic Beasts movies?
No, I didn't see that.
Those were actually written as movies. They weren't adapted from the books, So I thought that those fared a little bit better. Because all the adaptations of the books, they just were kind of a mess to me. I didn't think they were. You didn't see the 3 aborted Fantastic Beasts? No, I didn't see it. The second one I think is okay.
Okay, that's the only one. That's the only one of all the movies that you liked.
Yeah, I mean, I like Alfonso Cuarón.
Sure, but, right.
But I don't think that movie is kind of a mess. Also,
surprised he did that. Seems like he could have done something else with this time.
Well, he said originally he turned it down, and then he said Del Toro told him "What's wrong with you? You think you're too good to do a big movie, And he said Del Toro talked him into doing it. So.
He's probably still getting paid for it.
Yeah, I'm sure he made a few million. So, good for him. But it was sort of I think the movie was a piece of junk. But I don't know. Do your kids? Well, I guess your kids are probably a little too young.
My almost 4-year-old daughter, I just got her started. I got her the wand from the Halloween stores just because she wanted a wand anyway. And again, because if you give them a toy and then show them the thing that the toy is from, they kind of get excited. So I was trying to get her into it, and she got a little bit into the first one. I worked at a drive-in in Austin for a few years, and they had like Harry Potter month there, and we had like all sorts of shit we had to do. We had like those, all the candy stuff, and then we had like Quidditch and blah blah blah. There was a whole bunch of things, and so we had to play them over and over again, and they're like 3 hours long. And I just got so tired of them during that stretch. So I don't really have. I never like loved them. My girlfriend when I was in high school loved them. So they're not like special to me to show her, but I thought she would probably get into them. I mainly want to show her them so that when we take her to Universal Studios, she'll have like extra fun and all that Harry Potter world stuff, because that stuff's really cool.
Yeah, so she'll enjoy the rides better.
Yeah, because like me.
I was a little bit old for the books when they came out, but I liked the books. I thought they were fun. It was they were entertaining books. They weren't like a big part of my childhood because it was like my late teens. But I thought the books were okay. Movies I just thought were junk.
So the J.K. Rowling interest that you have is not because you were like loved the books. Is it something else, or did you just become interested in how she was being treated?
Well, I thought that at some point, all the sort of drama surrounding her and surrounding the books is more interesting than the books actually are.
Oh, sure, yeah.
If I read the books when I was like 10 years old, I think maybe I might have a more of an emotional attachment. But
right.
I think it's really interesting, just like a kind of sociological way, how she's treated, the way that people react to her, and because a lot of my videos are kind of about like the relationship between the way fans relate to the artists and the way fans interact with movies. And so the way fans, the way that fans think that they own her, and they think that was kind of the real point of my videos with her, is like, whether you agree with her or not is beside the point of the way that fans kind of think that they get to dictate, like, I read your books, therefore you could never have a political opinion that I disagree with.
Right.
Which is so insane to me. It's like, even if I thought her politics were completely off the wall, it's like, who cares? She's like an adult woman. She's allowed to have her own opinions. Like, why the hell would it keep me up at night? Because she disagrees with me about whatever issue.
I'm the exact same way. It's one of the reasons I was drawn to your channel, because that's exactly where I come from. It's one of my things with like Morrissey. Like, I see people it's just like became a meme to like say Morrissey's an asshole. He's a piece of shit. He's this. And then you go, what did he do? And they're like, I don't know. I heard he's a piece of shit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I know, I'm not saying he hasn't said some shit, but it's like he just said some shit. Like, what did he actually do to anybody? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the other thing with J.K. Rowling. That's the other part of it, is if you press, a lot of people think that she's like, literally a Nazi. She's literally murdering people. And if you try to press these people about, well, what exactly did she say that you don't like? 99%. It's like a It's a social thing. It's like their social group hates her. Their peer group hates her.
Right.
So in order to belong to their peer group, they have to hate her also.
Right.
But if you actually press them, like 98% of these people, they couldn't even tell you what she did that's so bad. And it's like, it's the same thing with, now I don't like Charlie Kirk. I'm not a fan. I disagree with Charlie Kirk on 99% of his opinions. But when after he died, a lot of people, I would see people celebrating his death, and then I would read what they were saying, and they were attributing quotes to him that he never actually said.
Sure.
And again, he said a lot of stuff I don't agree with, a lot of things I have a problem with, but it's like, you think when you're celebrating somebody's death, you might actually bother to find out what he said.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's so insane to me,
Yeah, that's a recurring annoying thing with pop culture in general. Like, they'll get mad at Obama's tan suit or whatever, and I'm like, well, there's actual stuff you could be frustrated with regarding him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's not a right wing thing or a left wing thing.
Right.
It's human. This is how people are now.
Right.
It's the same as the Woody Allen thing. Is all these people. I've had people call me a pedophile and a child molester.
Of course. So have I.
Just from reading the title of my video. They didn't even watch the video. They just read the title. And it's like, you press them on it. They don't know the basic facts,
Right.
They think he was married to Mia Farrow. They think he adopted Soon-Yi,
Right.
And I'm just like, how in the world do you call somebody a child molester when you don't even know what the first fact,
Not to mention the fact that, of course, anytime I've defended, and anytime, like you, that I bother to defend, the reason I still defend Woody in comment sections is not because I need my opinion to be heard. It's not because, I need to school somebody. It's literally because I'm doing it for the person who reads the comments and keeps going. And I go, I know the person I'm responding to is probably going to be an asshole. So I just want someone else to see it, to know that there's a follow-up point to be made if somebody's making a certain point, right? That's the only thing I do online. I just clarify things, right? Right. So whatever you do, inevitably someone goes, found the pedo or something like that, right? And I'm like, the whole argument I'm making is that he's not this thing that I agree with you is terrible. Why does that mean I'm exposing myself? Like, I don't understand the logic. It makes zero sense. Of course, there's no logic. It's just to shut you up, right? It's just
they weaponize those terms for when they aren't able to make an intelligent argument. They weaponize those terms as just a way of shutting you up, just a way of, they just say pedo, Nazi, whatever it is, as just a way to shut you down, because everybody else goes, oh, I don't want to get called that, and so they run out of the, they leave the argument. Right. And but it's like, saying somebody is not a pedophile is pedophiles, obviously. I'm making the distinction that he isn't a pedophile because I think being a pedophile is bad.
Right, exactly. So basic.
I'm not over here saying, yay, pedophiles.
Right. Yeah,
somebody's going to mean that now. Yay, pedophiles. I'll do it a couple times so they could,
But then they twist it like you're saying, who cares if he is? Like, I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, that's how they try to turn it.
The opposite of what I said. Yeah.
Right. I remember, I think I told you this before, but you may have forgotten. When I was working at the Alamo Draft House in Austin, it was when Sean Penn's movie was coming out. One he directed. I never saw it. It looked like it was probably pretty good though. I think it's called like Father's Day or Flag Day. I think it's called Flag Day. And one of my coworkers who was always like these type of people that we're referring to, very reactionary and just looking for things to be offended by. She was dropping off something and she looked up at the screen and saw Sean Penn's face and she said, why do I even have to see his face? And I was like, you don't like Sean Penn? And she was like, he beat the shit out of Madonna. And I said, you know what? I used to think that too. And I looked it up and Madonna herself said it didn't happen. And she said, well, I'm pretty sure I heard something else about him.
What does Madonna know about it?
Yeah, literally clinging to the imaginary other thing that may or may not have also happened. You know what I mean? Like, just, I have to hate him. I just have to hate Sean Penn.
Yeah, I found a thread a little while ago of people talking about my Woody Allen videos. And a lot of people in the thread hadn't actually there's only one, but a lot of people in the thread hadn't actually watched it.
Of course.
And I saw this one guy who was saying, oh, I'm terrified to watch that video.
I saw that.
And I was like, that was really interesting to me because he's afraid of learning that I'm right, because if he thinks that I'm right, that means that Woody Allen is not guilty. And in his social milieu, that's an unacceptable position. That's you get exiled for that opinion.
Exactly.
So he's terrified of learning the truth because you're not. It's just like can't hear it.
Right. And I think that's real.
Live their whole life. That's a real thing because he will be. And I've lost friends of it because in certain social circles you will be ostracized for saying the wrong thing, even if the wrong thing happens to be true.
Right.
The fact that it's true is completely immaterial.
Right. It does so often become more of a. It's weird. It's weird to me because I don't care what anyone's opinion is, as long as it's their opinion and it's backed up by information. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if I hear something that flies in the face of modern conventional thinking, I don't go, fuck you, how dare you? I go, oh, that's interesting. Why did they think that? You know what I mean? Like, that's my gear that I shift into. So I find it puzzling when other people aren't like that, but what are you going to do?
He's apostate. You have to burn
it. 100%.
But it's also just the thing of like confusing, like, there's certain artists that, like, when I buy their book or whatever, I feel like I have to explain it, like, the cashier's going to judge me now, It's like I have to explain, yes, I'm aware he's not a nice person, but he happens to be like an excellent writer,
Right.
Like they really will judge you, especially, if like San Francisco and places like that.
Sure.
And
The one thing they know. They always, everyone has like one thing they know about anybody, and it's always like
right,
yeah.
And it exonerates them from learning anything else. Because
Right.
I got my one piece of trivia. Like I remember it was in 2016 now when Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I posted something about Bob Dylan winning the Nobel Prize, and I remember somebody posted like that he shouldn't have won it because he cheated on his wife. This is like back in 1972 or something. This is like literally 50 years prior. He cheated on his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so I replied, I was like, well, for one thing, that's Sarah Lowndes is his wife. He's still friends with her to this day. He's notoriously private, so we don't even know if he cheated on her. I mean, he probably did, but that's their personal life. We don't know anything about it. We know at this point, people don't even know how many times Bob Dylan's been married because he's so private about his marriages, And then I said, but point B, even if he did cheat on his wife, I said like, the Nobel Prize, it's a literature award. It's not a being nice to your wife award. That's what I said. It's like, it's not a husband of the year award,
It's true.
This person replied to me. She was like, are you serious right now? I can't even believe you. Like she thought I was the one that was being outrageous. Pointing out that the Nobel Prize is not an award for fidelity,
It's bizarre. Like I'll still watch. We've made this distinction before. At least I know where you stand on it too. People maybe not know where I stand on it, but we're very similar in this. Like, even if we thought Woody was guilty, we would still watch his movies. We know Polanski is guilty. I'll still watch his movies. You know what I mean? So, So like that, for instance. But like, I also know like if everything they said about Bill Cosby is true, he's one of the craziest motherfuckers in the world. Okay, yeah. I still think he's a brilliant stand-up. Like I still watch Bill Cosby himself. My wife and I too. Like she likes it too. Like, and when I tell this to people, I go, nothing will ever change the fact that he's one of the great stand-ups. You know what I mean? Like nothing will undo that.
I mean, I saw last year when the movie Queer came out about William Burroughs.
Yeah, I read that book a long time ago.
Good book. But I saw a bunch of like sort of young gay people and whatever were all over that movie, and I was just like, well, wait until they find out about William Burroughs, because of course they don't know anything about William Burroughs. But in that book, by the way, there's well, aside from William Burroughs' private life, which you could talk for days about all the things he did in his private life. But in that book, Queer, there's a passage in there where he's just openly talking about when he was in Mexico, he would watch the little local boys play. And in the book, he's openly lusting after these little Mexican boys.
Sure.
And I mean, like 10, 11, 12 years old. And there's like a five-page scene in the book where he's just openly talking about like their, beautiful bodies and everything. And that's in the book, So there has to be a separation. Like he's not a wonderful human being.
Right.
There are some problems, but he's still one of the most interesting writers of the 20th century for sure.
When I got super into Burroughs, was during that sort of college age time for me, 19, 20, 21, 22. I was like I was super into anything avant-garde at the time. I was obsessed with, Jean-Luc Godard and John Waters and Captain Beefheart and, anything that was wild and experimental and, subversive and shit. I was like all aboard. So Burroughs obviously was on that list. I was like super fascinated by him. And I would tell people like, yeah, you want to hear something crazy? He shot his wife in the head by accident while playing William Tell. And I'm like, isn't that fascinating?
By accident, really.
Sure. And I'm like, isn't that fascinating? Like, and they're like, to them, they're like, oh, I never want to read him anymore. And I'm like, to me, I'm not saying I approve of that. That's not at all what I'm saying. Of course I don't. I'm just saying, like, wow, isn't that crazy that this guy did that? You know what I mean?
I mean, he shot his wife right in the face. I mean, they said it was an accident, but it's like, how crazy do you have to be playing William Tell when you're strung out on drugs anyway? It's like,
yeah, I grew up. I'm like, I'm not hanging out with these people. You know what I mean? And even if it's even if I was, it's like, And then
to not only shoot your wife in the face, but then to still be a lifelong NRA gun nut afterward. I mean, he was a huge big fan of guns for 50 years after he killed his wife. Most people you would think that would turn you off guns, maybe. Like most normal people.
He
was obsessed with guns.
He had that knife and the cane thing too, right? That Clockwork Orange cane. Yeah.
His suit jacket. He had custom suit jackets tailored, so he had like 3 different guns hidden in his jacket when he went out. He had jackets custom made so he could hide guns all over his body.
Wait till people find out that he's on Sergeant Pepper cover. You know what I mean? You gotta listen to. You can't listen to Sergeant Pepper now when you find this out.
He was best friends with Kurt Cobain, with all those rock musician people loved him. Johnny, all those people. I mean, so yeah, I don't think that Kurt Cobain was saying, "Hey, I love shooting wives in their face." I don't think that was what Kurt Cobain was saying.
Right, and it's weird that you have to explain this. Because it's like you try to come from a point of view where you're like, we all agree on what's good and bad here, right? You know what I mean? And like that's not the point. We're talking about something else with these things. But people, for whatever reason, they get really hung up on. I have to have an opinion about the person's behavior at all times.
Right. Like I have to stop and say, "Oh, by the way, I feel like shooting your wife in the face is questionable." I have a little bit of a problem with the whole. Right. No, I always feel like, okay, that should go without saying. That obviously,
exactly.
I obviously think shooting your wife is bad. I obviously don't approve of pedophilia.
Right.
I'm coming from a place that hopefully you would already know that. But
yes, apparently not with some people.
No. Some people need you to tell them. They need you to
explain it.
Well, by the way, just in case we were fuzzy on that whole bit.
That's the other thing too. Going back to my Morrissey defense, for me that was so interesting because you and I were exchanging at one point when Will Wheaton was having his meltdown.
Oh yeah, Will.
And he was like losing it over Morrissey. It was so funny to me because he was talking about how when I was in the 80s, when I was growing up in the 80s, I felt like an outcast, and I thought that he spoke to me and he blah blah blah, he understood, and then I find out later that he doesn't understand me or whatever the hell. And I'm like, okay, this has nothing to do with you. And second of all, you're mad at him for first of all, do you even understand Morrissey in the first place? Okay, the guy has always just spoken his mind. It's gonna be a mixed bag of things. Some things you're going to be like, yeah, and some things you're like, well, okay, you know what I mean? But like that's who he is. He's a guy who says what he thinks. He actually is very free in terms of his, expressing his point of view. I find you to be very similar in that sense. That
Will Wheaton is such a fucking clown. It makes me so sad.
I just use it as an example of this weird, I guess parasocial is like a thing. It was like the word of the year I saw the other day on TV. I'm sure you've heard of this parasocial concept where you have like you have a relationship with people you don't know, like through the internet or through movies or through Right. That's apparently the word of the year. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar where it's like, it's weird how people think that the person they like is always supposed to be their voice.
Right. They have it's a weird codependent. That's just the thing about, even if I thought what J.K. Rowling said was terrible, and I don't agree with 100%,
sure.
Some things I do, some things I don't, but even if I thought it was terrible, I don't understand why is it supposed to bother me that a woman that I'll never meet that has an opinion of her own, has a mind of her own.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. Yep.
If that upsets you, there's something you really need to get help with that, because that you're never going to be happy if you can't deal with like, oh, it's celebrity disagrees with me. Oh my god.
Right.
Red alert, celebrity.
Right.
That's nuts. That's completely nuts.
Well, the Charlie Kirk thing is an interesting point there, because I guess who knows why it happened. They're still uncovering things, but it seems to be rooted in that on some level. I don't like what he's saying, so let me get rid of him, which is
that was totally it. Yeah. I was reading about the shooter and his boyfriend, or his trans. I think that it's a boyfriend. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I heard
I'm not trying to misgender or whatever. I just honestly don't know, because it was a big.
I've heard different things too. Yeah.
But were you reading about the whole thing with just their internet life and all the furry message boards? And
I've heard some of these things, like Bill Maher's brought up some of them and stuff like that. But yeah.
Oh man, that's a rabbit hole. I was reading. I thought it might be a fun comic to do a comic strip about the two of them, just because it was like.
That's a funny idea.
But that's absolutely what it is. It's the internet subculture where these people they live in kind of a little bubble, and then when they encounter the real world, anybody that doesn't agree with the viewpoints of their little bubble, they're like, "Oh my God, these people are literal Nazis and they literally want to exterminate me." You know, it's like
yeah.
Okay, well, thinking that you aren't like Garfield gender doesn't mean that they literally want to murder you. You know,
yeah.
I mean, he literally had like the porn that he had done of like the shooter guy would pose as John Arbuckle, and then his boyfriend or girlfriend would be a female Garfield, and it was like an owner-pet relationship between John Arbuckle and a female Garfield. I think that was my kink.
Jeez.
It's like, okay, guys. It doesn't make somebody a Nazi if they think that that's weird.
Right, exactly.
It's a little bit weird. I hate to break it to you guys, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty funny though.
Tiny bit weird, just a tiny bit. Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of the thing too. Going back to Shelby Oaks, that's come full circle in that. No, but as far as like exploring the internet. Right, that's another thing that I thought could have been more interesting about it. Is like it felt like it explored the internet in a way that was 20 years late. It's sort of
very, it was very 2005.
Yeah, you know, it felt like it didn't do anything more interesting with that aspect of it. That part of it could have been done in 20 years ago. Yeah,
because he was trying to do a thing about like I guess that was supposed to be Riley's thing, was she became like internet famous doing her ghost investigation videos or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it was very 2008, like when Chris Stuckman started making YouTube videos. That was kind of, I guess, what he was doing.
Do you think that did it take place then? I couldn't tell you.
I guess Riley was supposed to be kidnapped for like 10 years, wasn't she?
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so maybe that's part of it. Maybe the movie's secretly brilliant. I just didn't realize it.
I'm sure that's probably it.
Don't you love those? Don't you love those takes too? That became really popular.
It's a very well kept secret.
Right. The whole this movie's secretly brilliant thing. Or one of the things that drives me nuts is the not that you can't make a case for something, of course, but what drives me nuts is when people do like the fan theory. I'm sure this annoys you too. Well, the fan theory that doesn't even make any damn sense.
Jar Jar is the Sith Lord.
Yeah, or Cameron is or Ferris is like Tyler Durden type of thing, and Ferris Bueller. Like I'm like, there's no actual evidence in the movie to suggest this though. It's if you want to watch it that way, have fun, but you're kind of wasting your time. You know what I mean?
That's what people. That's what when people don't understand things. That's what they think I'm doing with like legitimate interpretations.
Sure.
Because they never saw it. They think that it's just like some crazy thing that I made up. And I'm like, no, this is like George Lucas has actually said this is what I'm doing with X, Y, and Z, and it's but they think that if they didn't see it, they think there's some like crazy made up fan theory, and so then they try to do the same version with just like wacky shit that's not in the movie.
That's an interesting difference.
There is a difference between like valid interpretation and then just like dumbass internet stuff.
Right. Speculation that doesn't mean anything. Like if you want to do subtextual analysis, that's fine. I feel like as far as if you want to talk criticism, I feel like that is always like, yes, I think a work is a combination of conscious choices and unconscious choices. So I do think you can make cases for subtext or like whatever, or something can be sort of greater than the sum of its parts or something like that based on that combination of things. Because that's one of the things why I love movies so much, is because I experience a lot of different thought. I want to experience a variety of thoughts and feelings when I go to the movie. That's my preference, right? And not just the same straightforward thing. So like part of the way in which I think that happens is because of that combination of those things. So if you like make a case, sometimes you can make a case that maybe the director didn't realize they were doing. I think that that's valid. And then they have their intent that they're trying and all that stuff. But I do think because
there's a lot of artists work very instinctively, and there's a lot of artists will say like, "Oh, I never realized this was all about my dad," and then 10 years later, I realized the movie was all about my dad. You know,
right.
That totally happens. But there's still a difference between like that's actually founded in the
right. It's got to be yes, exactly. Like when Stephen King says, "Oh, Cujo, I didn't realize I was Cujo, and I was destroying my family," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah." I'm like, I buy that 100%. But it's like, Cujo is is actually a demon, and I don't know, something where it's like it's not actually in the context of it. It's like, no, he just has rabies,
Well, but yeah, that's a real, like Stephen King's. Oh, I was really working with my real emotions in like a subconscious way, and then there's people that are like, oh, Cujo was actually all a dream from the point of view of the space aliens and under the dome,
Right.
Okay, no, that's not actually what it is.
Right. Yeah. When people have fun, again, if you want to have fun coming up with whatever the hell you want, feel free. But yeah, I feel like you're wasting your time if you actually watch the movies from this point of view. Sometimes, where I'm like, doesn't really,
Yeah. What was I remember there was something else we said that we would talk about. Was there something else? Something else I brought up before?
James Cameron, you mentioned.
Oh yeah, James Cameron. You excited for Avatar 3?
I'm going to see it, of course.
Are you excited for it?
Yeah, I am. I'm always excited about whatever he wants me to sit through for 3.5 hours.
It's going to be that long. Yeah.
Here's my history with Avatar, because I love James Cameron. I love James Cameron because I was 5 years old when I saw Terminator 2. My mom took me to that. I remember going to the movies, my brother and I, and my mom really she loved. When I was born, the Terminator was my mom's favorite movie. So I literally was born into that. And then, so she really wanted to see Terminator 2, and she was stuck with me and my brother. I remember she was like, I'm going to find out if it's as bad as the first one, because there's like a heart gets ripped out in the first one and all this kind of stuff. So she was like concerned if it was going to be like that. And I remember she was asking the clerk behind the counter about, what happens in the movie if kids can see it type of stuff. And I remember hiding under the counter thinking that if they see that I'm here, she's not going to be able to go into the movie. So I was like hiding as she asked him, I don't know, expecting to sneak in. I didn't know what I was thinking. But anyway, so I remember going in. It's so funny because she would for the first few times I saw the movie, she would close my eyes during the, any of the T-1000, through the eye or through the mouth shit, that kind of stuff. But she didn't close my eyes during the nuclear bomb scene, which is the most disturbing scene in the whole freaking movie. Literally seeing Sarah Connor's skin fly off her skeleton. Way more disturbing than anything else in that movie. And I just remember like, holy shit. But anyway, so that movie changed my life. That was like my Star Wars, I always say. Like I came out of that movie loving movies, and got the VHS for my 6th birthday. Had a poster in my room. Got my hair cut like Arnold. I was like all in.
Oh, like Arnold, okay.
Like Arnold.
I think like John Connor. With the bangs over your
right. Wasn't quite there yet.
When I was a little kid, I saw that movie. I had such a crush on him because he was a little 90s rebel kid.
I just saw a recent interview, like a snippet with him, where how he lost Terminator 3 because he got the part, and they told him he had to be off drugs, and so he went and celebrated and OD'd. And OD'd, and they lost the part. I was like, holy shit, I never heard that.
Wow. Good work.
Anyway, so that, I became obsessed with that, and then we went to see, True Lies in the drive-in, I remember, and that became like my mom's new favorite movie. And then Titanic, of course, I really liked then, but I love it now. But yeah, so going into, by the time Avatar came around, I was 23. 23-year-old me was not at all into Avatar. That wasn't, I wouldn't have been. I was, like I told you, I was like William Burroughs and Captain Beefheart and Godard and Brother Theodore, whatever weird shit I could find, fucking like I was like that was my headspace. So my friend was like, "Oh man, it's really awesome. You should come see it." And I was like, "All right." And so I kind of went in like that. Okay, that's fine. And I loved James Cameron, but I was just like removed from my love for him. And I came out and I said, I fucking hated it. I just couldn't stand it. It was a chore for me to sit through the entire 2.5 hours, whatever it was. I just didn't like any of it. Yeah, I'm sure. I didn't like any of it. And so a couple years later, I'm going through all of Cameron's body of work. And then I finally was like, all right, let me try Avatar again. And I got about 20 minutes in. And I'm like, yeah, now I remember why I don't like it. And then I tried again like a couple years later. I was like, let me try. And I think I got further into it. And it started kind of coming around to it. And then finally, like a fourth try, something clicked. And I kind of got it in a way that I saw I saw the kind of ride I was supposed to be on and the whole kind of idea of the vision of it and all this shit. And it just suddenly kind of made sense to me. It's still not, these are not my favorite Cameron films, but I finally came around to them, put it that way. So when you ask me if I'm excited about the third one, I'm still like hesitant to say excited, but I'm super curious and I'm definitely going to see it. I'm just curious apparently this one's like the most emotional one or some shit. So and apparently this finishes most of the threads, I guess. So it may be like a little bit of a trilogy. So I'm curious about that too.
Well, my Avatar story with the first one was, I saw the first one at midnight, the opening midnight showing, and it was one of the biggest IMAX screens in the world, downtown San Francisco. So with the 3D and everything, it was like being on a theme park ride for 2 hours. It really, it really did look crazy because it was the IMAX screen. There was like 70 feet tall, so it's just your whole field of vision was like 3D shit coming at you. So that was, it was and the whole audience was going crazy the whole time. The audience was losing their shit for the 2 hours. So that was, it was mildly engaging. And then later on, like a year later, I tried to watch it at home on my laptop. And I was just like, I couldn't even make it 20 minutes. I was like, this is the stupidest kiddie crap movie I've ever seen in my life, But so I saw the second one, and I thought it was just like 5 hours longer than it should be.
Here's the thing. When I saw the second one, which first of all is 13 years of waiting, by that time, I was ready for more Cameron. I was just like, good Lord, 13 years. And I had the day off, and I made a point to do that, of course. Went to the first screening. I like the projector, like the 3D shit, like they couldn't even get it right. It was like so like new for even the theater. So they had to restart it and all this stuff. So I'm sitting there waiting to be like, whoa, what did he do? What's this big wait all about? And then the first stuff I see is all fucked up and blurry. And I'm like, this isn't on purpose, right? Like, what is he completely loses his damn mind, right? But yeah, anyway, but like, I was just there for the ride. I was like, I felt like I'd come back from a vacation when I was done. I really did. I felt amazing after the second one. The first time I saw the second one. So it had a different experience. Like, it's hard for me to talk about them from any sort of like traditional film discussion sense, because to me it is more of an experience than it is anything else. And it's hard to get the experience at home. I mean, I have a pretty cool home theater setup and an 85-inch screen and a projector and surround sound and shit. So I get close to them. I was trying to show the first one to my daughter the other day, and she was into it for a little bit, but the Pandora stuff with the creatures and everything kind of freaked her out. Actually, she was like, she kept like kind of like doing that and kind of getting a little freaked out by it. So I thought, okay, well, at least they still work. The thing I really don't like about the first one though, every time I watch it, I go, why did, of all the fucking money and resources and work that went into this, why did they use the dinosaur sounds from Jurassic Park for some of the creatures? I spot them every time, partially because I've seen Jurassic Park so many times. But I'm like, of all the things, like, why would he reuse that side? Have you noticed this? You will now.
The whole movie really seems to me like, I feel like with the whole movie, like if it's 100% CGI, you can do anything your imagination can think of, To me, why does it just look like tall humans with cat ears? And why does it just look like a forest on Earth? It's like, I guess some of the mountains are floating, but otherwise it just kind of looks like, oh, they're just pterodactyls. Like, you know,
I get what you're saying, and I think it's a valid point. I do also think that it's probably where I would come from with it, that he is kind of re-showing you Earth from a new point of view in a way. He's kind of letting remind, you know what I mean? Like rediscovering it.
I know the answer is because he thinks of these things, and this is kind of why I don't like him as a filmmaker, because he thinks of these things in like market testing terms, and he's talked about it. He's talked about the design of the Na'vi face, is that he actually did like market research on like what kind of face creates empathy, and like what the proportion should be, like the proportion of the eyes to the nose. Like at a certain point, if the eyes get too big, it looks freakish. If they get too small, it looks, if they look mean if they get below a certain point. And he did like market research. Like you can do like, okay, they could be like, you know, 150% of a human eye, but they can't be 200% because 200% looks off-putting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so he like sat there and like mathematically figured out what creates like a reaction in a viewer, you know? And that's what drives me crazy about him, is because he's so, I think to him, he's interested like in some of the technological things. He's interested like in the, you know, how am I going to do this? And then a big part of his mind is just like market testing, market research, because he knows in order to do the technological stuff, it has to make money.
Sure.
So he's thinking like, you know, and even I sent you that video a couple weeks ago, because he talks in there about how people praise him for his female protagonists, right? Mm-hmm. And he always has strong women protagonists. And in the video, he comes right out and he says, he's like, well, he says, I knew that I do sort of like stories that are geared towards a male audience, right? So he thought that, well, if I have a female protagonist, then that will get the female demographic. And it's like a calculated thing with him. He knows that he's doing a man's story, but he needs to get the female market share. And so he puts a woman in there because he wants the female market share, you know?
I get you, and most of my favorite films and filmmakers don't really have that method. So I understand.
Never in a million years.
I'm with you. That. Yeah, I'm with you on like I get why that would be a turnoff, but for me, why it works with him is because I feel like it's like, okay, Romeo and Juliet on Titanic. I feel like it's because he wants an entry point, so that he can have fun with all the other shit. That's why I think the Avatar thing is that too, the sort of Pocahontas or whatever. It's like, it's an entry point so that he can now have more fun with all the other shit. So it's like, it's a way in, so it's not all completely foreign, you know what I mean? So there's a through line. I do think that that's a big part of how he operates. And so I do think that that's where that's coming from too, where it's like, he wants it, but he wants to figure out how to do it in a way that'll work with all the other, because there's a lot of weird shit in that. Avatar is actually a really weird movie, but it's not really thought of that way because it's so massive, and you know what I mean, and it's so familiar in some ways, but I also think it's very unfamiliar in a lot of ways.
Well, because the story is so like deliberately lowbrow. The story, because he's trying to do like what is the most tried and true audience pleasing story, you know. Mm-hmm. And the Titanic, like the Romeo and Juliet thing, it's exactly what I mean, is what you just said. That was how he thought. Like he was interested in the ship. He was interested in deep sea exploration, but he knew it would be expensive to make the movie. So he thought, well, how do I get, Romeo and Juliet, it's the most popular play in the English language, you know? So he thought, okay, I'll take the ship that I'm interested in and I'll put Romeo and Juliet on the ship, you know? And it was like this totally calculated market thing, you know? Which, I mean, it works for him, sure. I mean, you know, it makes him billions and billions of dollars. You know? He knows what he's doing.
He reminds me of, I remember one time I said he's sort of halfway, but because you said his like Elon Musk-ness kind of annoys you. And I said, yeah, he's somewhere between like a Kubrick and an Elon Musk in the sense that he's into innovation and ambitious ideas, but he's also got that, you know, that sort of marketing side to him, or that sort of business minded side to him. He actually reminds me a lot of Howard Hughes. I think Howard Hughes is actually a fair parallel to draw with him in the sense that he's just like, I feel like he would have reshot Hell's Angels in sound too, You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he has that kind of ambition, that money, that amount of money, that like insane amount of money in his mind, in terms of like there's no limit to what I can do, you know, that kind of stuff.
I think Kubrick always wanted to have an audience. He wanted people to see his movies. He wasn't trying to make movies just for an elite or anything. You know, and I think it always hurt Kubrick when he put out a movie and it wasn't initially understood. I think it always upset him. You know, he wanted his movies to be appreciated. But the thing with Kubrick for me though is that he would never compromise the movie in order to make it more appealing. He would just kind of like, you know, he makes 2001 and then he's like, why doesn't everybody understand? I just moved I moved the art form forward 20 years. So I don't think they realize, you know?
Right. Wasn't there like 60 walkouts or something first time for that one?
Yeah, people walked out and got bad reviews, whatever. But you know, whereas I think if James Cameron wanted to make 2001, you know, he would put the love story on the ship. You know, it would be Romeo and Juliet versus Hal. You know, like that's what he would do. You know?
If you didn't know, you maybe know, but 2001 and Wizard of Oz are his two favorite movies. But the reason he loves those movies is because he talks about transport. That's what he's super into. He's super into transporting the audience to a place, you know, to a world. So I do think he sees a familiar entry point as a way to help that, which I understand, and it has mixed reviews. I don't mind the Romeo and Juliet on the ship in Titanic completely. I'm sold. It works for me 100%. I love that movie. The sort of Pocahontas-y stuff with Avatar, I feel like he could have done more interesting things than that. But that's like kind of my least favorite stuff in it, honestly. I think the action's done really well in Avatar is one of the reasons I come back to it. And I do think with the second one that I actually got more invested with the characters and stuff.
I just could not care less about the characters in the second Avatar movie. The ending I thought was exhausting with all the stuff with like the bad military guy. He's in one of the Na'vi bodies or something, and he's like, I was just like, oh Jesus, it just went on and on and on.
I found the action very thrilling in that one, but I like action. You're not a big action guy. We've covered this before, right? Is there any action that you like?
Well, no, I like action if I think it's really interesting filmmaking. Like, you know, I don't give a shit about cars or car chases, but I could watch Fury Road like every day of the week. Sure.
Just
because I think that just the filmmaking to me is so thrilling. You know,
absolutely.
Just watching the way he cuts it and the way the camera moves, and you know, it's just like it's so exciting. You know, so I think I could like anything if I think the artistry is exciting. You know.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, the Avatar is based on James Cameron's dreams, which I think goes a long way, and also the fact that his Mariana Trench diving informed a lot of the visual stuff in number 2, which again, I sort of like receive it that way whenever I watch these things. I get the dream aspect of it. I mean, the premise is essentially the characters are asleep and they're like having a waking dream in this other body, right? And I feel like those aspects about it kind of get swept under the rug when people talk about them, and I actually think that stuff's more interesting than people give him credit for. That's the stuff that I'm like, we actually haven't seen that a bunch, like we have some of the other stuff in the movies.
I give him credit for. I do think that for him, it is a personal movie, and that it really does come from his dreams and stuff. But I think that for me, with him, it's you know, he says all the time that he has very blue collar taste. He says that all the time. That, and so when it's a very personal movie for him, a personal movie is like a very mainstream lowbrow movie, you know, because that's just personally that's what he likes. And so I think from that, I think it is coming from a genuine place for him in that way. Yeah, because that's what he likes. He does. I mean, he likes, you know.
They are auteur films. I mean, Titanic's the only movie to ever win Best Picture that has the same name on writer, director, producer, editor, and cinematography. That's the only time it's ever happened. Like, he is like deeply involved in these films, you know. So regardless of it, you know, auteur doesn't automatically mean you're gonna like it. I get that, but I'm just saying they are like, he is like all in on these things. He had that razor blade next to the Avid when he was editing Titanic. That said, use in case film sucks. Like, and then he put in his own money on it, and he wasn't, you know, obviously made a shitload, but at the time it was considered like something that wasn't going to make anything. That's what the you know, conventional wisdom was. And
that's true. You know, they are James Cameron films. They're totally James. I believe that, like, as an audience member, the movies that he makes are absolutely the movies that he would want to see as an audience member. So
Right. I think that's true. And
I
I
just
do think the
that,
Avatar movies are kind of his ultimate films, from a certain point of view, and like for better or for worse. Like I don't think they're best representations of what I like about him, but I do think I see him all over the dang movies, and they're like the fact that they're that scale and they're still like one person's vision behind them essentially. I think is pretty interesting.
I had somebody ask me what I thought about the 4K remasters that Cameron's been doing.
Yeah,
and because the the upsampling and stuff, that it looks very, the noise reduction and everything looks very plasticky. Some people really dislike it. And Cameron has said that he likes it, and I've said, well, for my thing is always, if it's his work and he has the right to present his work the way that he wants, and I think that to me it looks bad, but I think that for him, I think he kind of has bad taste. So I'm sure that for him, when he looks at it, I think that he thinks, yeah, that looks great. I like it. And so for me, it's like, if that's how he wants it to look, that's his decision.
It seems to be the criticisms of those, from what I could gather, seem to be that he made them look too modern. In terms of like the transfers, kind of turned them into more modern looking movies, as opposed to, people seemed like they lamented it didn't retain some of the initial elements from the original ones. That it's almost like he made them now in certain ways. That didn't bother me, but I haven't watched them on my TV, which is a different thing than my projector screen. They look great on my projector screen, but that's because the fact that I don't have like a super expensive projector setup. Like I have a pretty good one. It looks great, but it's not going to look like 1000% like my TV would, type of thing. So I do think so it's possible. So I'm not the best judge on that. They look great on my projector screen, though. I'm happy with it. I'm just happy to have the Abyss, for crying out loud, and something without that stupid DVD that I had for years.
I haven't watched. I've looked at the frame comparisons, like 4K comparisons of screen captures, and there's definitely like a DNR plastic kind of look to it. Maybe in motion you wouldn't even notice it as much.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just think if that's how he wants it to look, that's his choice. That's
sure.
I think that it probably to him looks good.
What do you think about, speaking of that, what do you think about the whole idea that like Coup de Chance looked the way it looked because Woody's like half blind? I'm sure you heard those criticisms.
I liked how it looked.
I did too, but it also was Storaro, right? Didn't the Storaro shoot it?
Yeah, Storaro is a genius.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I mean, he's very into like this very sort of candy colored, very super saturated. I mean, Wonder Wheel had those really high blue and red. I thought it looked great. I
love the way Wonder Wheel looks. Yeah, he's got some of my favorite looking photography of all time. That's the thing. As much as I love James Cameron, I don't look at James Cameron's films necessarily from those points of view as well. Like I'm not like, I mean, Adam Greenberg, who shot Terminator 2. I'm like, when I see his name, I go, oh, cool, the guy shot Terminator 2. But I don't necessarily study the photography in the way that I would Storaro or Robert Elswit or Tak Fujimoto or whatever. You know what I mean? Like so I do have a slightly different relationship to the work than I do, than I would some of these other movies. I completely appreciate the standards that you keep. Is the chat even being read?
The chat is being skimmed, but I can't answer every question.
You're just skipping all the you're just keeping me from seeing all the insults about me.
No, we're having a good conversation, so I'm not going to pause it every time there's a question. But I was reading the chat.
I was wondering if people were still listening.
No, I do read it, but I'm not pulling up every comment. Also, because I have a guest, and so I'm letting him talk. But I just thought I'd click on that to show that I had actually seen it. But no, somebody asked me about that before, about like where does the cinematographer fit into auteur theory, and I was like, it depends on the director, because somebody like Kubrick, it's always going to look like a Kubrick movie because he has a very high degree of knowledge and control over the photography and whatever.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So somebody like Woody Allen, I think Woody Allen's very happy to let the cinematographer go to town, and you can tell if it's a Gordon Willis movie. You could tell Woody Allen's Gordon Willis era and his Storaro era. You can tell.
Right. Yeah, Nyqvist, right? Sven Nyqvist shot a lot of them too.
Yeah.
And he talked about that, how he just hires talented people and gets out of their way, right? And then Larry David also said though, this whole idea that he doesn't direct or whatever is ridiculous. Like he said, he gets what he wants, right? That was in the Woody Allen doc. Yeah.
If you hire Gordon Willis here or hires Storaro, then you just you hired one of the greatest that ever lived, so you should probably just shut up and let him do their thing.
I heard something about how some podcast I was listening to where they're talking about photography and comedies. And they were saying how, the Big Lebowski was, I think it was Blake Check with Big Lebowski, that podcast. They were talking about how the Big Lebowski was beautifully shot because it was Roger Deakins and all that shit, and how that's not how comedies are usually shot or whatever. And at no point was Woody Allen brought up. And I'm like, didn't Annie Hall essentially invent that? I couldn't think of anything before that was shot that beautifully with a real cinematographer for a comedy. You know what I mean? Like a straight up comedy like that.
That's just shot like a really beautiful movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't think of anything before that. I mean, Dr. Strangelove has its own shooting style, but that's not a comedy shooting style. That's very much the style is its own thing, and then the comedy within it something else.
I watched this whole video a while ago, and it was one of those videos where an actor goes through all the famous movies in their career and reacts to and he was with Seth Green, right? And they tried to do Seth Green's career and ignore all the Woody Allen movies. And I was like, that is his whole fucking career.
Pisses me off.
That's everything.
Did you see that?
You're really going to pretend like you're doing an overview of Seth Green's career and pretend there's no Woody Allen? Are you fucking kidding me?
I can't tell you how many fucking lists and all sorts of things that I see now where it's suddenly everyone really loves When Harry Met Sally. Suddenly everyone really loves Albert Brooks. I'm not saying anything against these things. I love Albert Brooks, and When Harry Met Sally's fine. But I notice what they're doing. They're trying to find substitutes because they need to fill in the void because I can't watch Woody's movies now, so I have to love someone who's in that same ballpark. That kind of thing.
Whenever they do best films in 1977, and then there's no Annie Hall, it's they're just being a jackass because they didn't forget Annie Hall. It's obviously the movie. Besides, there's other movies in 1977, but if you're talking about the movies of that year, you obviously are fully aware Annie Hall came out that year.
Right?
There's no way you aren't.
Real quick, I have more to say about that. Just so you know, I am doing this on my phone, and my battery is running really low. So if I just drop out, that's why. So
if you gotta cut out, that's okay.
I will let you know it's in the red. Let me finish this part real quick. So did you see that top 100 comedies of all time? I sent it to you, and I was pretty lousy list.
They did have a Woody Allen on there.
They had Annie Hall in the top 5, which I was thank God, because I'm going through the list and being no Woody, are you kidding me? But that list was ridiculous. I was who came up with this? I mean, really bad. I know these lists are usually, mostly what, but this was particularly bad. It was really bad. I mean, I was what are the standards? I think they had one Billy Wilder. I think there's just something Hot was the only one.
Yeah.
I mean, Naked Gun number 1. I love Naked Gun. It was a weird choice for number 1. I mean, okay, but it was bizarre. I saw
Naked Gun is great, but for your number 1 of all time, that's just fucking. You're just being. They're trying to get clicks.
And Airplane was Airplane was 70 something. I'm what? Blazing Saddles was behind me and you and everyone we know. Among other things, The Waterboy, which I'm if you're gonna pick a Sandler movie, give me Billy Madison or something. Waterboy is whatever, but it was number 50. I was it was just confusing. I was what is the metric for this? I
think a lot of those lists now they deliberately do stuff that they know will get hate clicks. They'll deliberately put Airplane behind Naked Gun or whatever, just because they know that people are going to fight about that particular
right. Right. I saw that there was a they had Sideways on at 14, and then I saw this follow-up editorial that was talking about how that was Gen X or boomers or overrating Sideways, and this person was like,
when Freddie Got Fingered was on the Criterion Channel. Did you see that?
Is it really? That's amazing.
That's the reason I watched it, because they put it on the Criterion Channel.
That's hilarious.
They had some list of like it was like whatever avant-garde comedies or something, and they had Freddie Got Fingered, and so I was like, wow,
That's
okay.
funny.
So I watched it. I was that was something. They were kind of trying to put it like in the John Waters category, you know, or
Okay,
underground comedies or something, but I don't know about that.
That's funny. What's your favorite John Waters movie?
Female Trouble.
Which had, yeah, mine too, by the way. Well, that and Crybaby. I sort of like, that's my favorite early one, and then Crybaby is my favorite later one. But yeah, Hairspray was on the list I saw, which was interesting that made the cut. But yeah, Female Trouble was great.
Hairspray was on the comedy list. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bizarre.
What do you do with debate me bros who don't want you to debate me? I don't even know who. Honestly, I'm so checked out about most online film discussions because most of it's just so stupid. It's not worth talking about, you know? I always get people asking me like, oh, would you go on this channel or that channel? I'm like, I guess, but I don't know who they are.
So this is the thing. Okay, this is important. Again, so try to get this in before my phone dies. Okay, so did you see Bret Easton Ellis's response or his one battle after another point that he made?
I read the quotes of it. I didn't actually watch the thing.
I love Bret Easton Ellis. I met Bret Easton Ellis. I have a funny story about me and him, but I'm a huge fan of his. I love his podcasts, etc. I don't always agree with the guy. I'm not expecting to. I found that I was disappointed. I still don't know what you think about the movie, but I was disappointed in his take, not because he needed to like the movie, but I thought he threw the movie under the bus in order to make the point to make a different point that needed to be made. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he should have helped guide the audience to being like, just because this is a lefty seeming movie doesn't mean you have to be lefty to love it or whatever, or have to agree with it or whatever. I feel like instead of making that point, he just threw it under the bus. It's like, oh yeah, lefty Hollywood loves this. It's not that good, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, no, I thought it was absolutely thrilling. And I'm like, the politics to me of that movie were so secondary. That was where I stood from it. To me, it was more like he had more, to me, Paul Thomas Anderson had more of an interest in those types of people because he grew up in California, similar to how he had interest in like the porno people of Boogie Nights. But it wasn't like a full endorsement. It was just like a setting. It was like a world to explore that had some relevancy. But I thought it was more about like, a generational difference and like sort of being a young radical, and now you're like a middle-aged nothing, and how do you deal with that? And you know what I mean? I thought, and ongoing political battles in the culture, and how like the new generation has to finish what the last generation didn't finish, or has to that kind of stuff. I thought it was more about that stuff, and I feel like the politics of it is obviously. I'm not surprised people were overreacting to the politics of it, but I feel like they're overemphasizing the politics of it. Personally, that's what I think.
My take on it was I think that's how people talk about stuff on the internet now, is what they think, oh, it's a right-wing movie, it's a left-wing movie, or whatever, and they jump all over it because of whether or not they agree or disagree with what the message supposedly is.
Right.
I didn't think that movie really had that much of a political message. I thought the movie was about the characters, and it was obviously in a slightly not in the real world. It was obviously in a somewhat fantasy version.
And
he wasn't trying to comment on real politics specifically. It was supposed to be a separation there, and I thought it was about the people and the story. I didn't think it didn't have a whole lot of a political point. I think really.
People talk about how the book takes place in the 80s. He started writing it in like 1999, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, to me, that almost proves my point, is that the point is that the backdrop is always going to be chaos. And then, you know what I mean?
And those types of people always exist. You always have like the radicals and the hard, like kind of the extremists, the bigots, whatever.
Right.
You always have those types. And then, of course, now the modern right wing, it's, anytime you have a racist character in a movie, they feel attacked, which is kind kind of telling on yourself a little bit. I think.
Right.
And then there's also the left-wing people that if they think that something is on their side, that they want to promote it, even if it's bad, and that's really stupid.
Yes. Right, and that's the other thing, because people get mad because they're like, this movie's about terrorists. This movie celebrates terrorism. I'm like, it doesn't celebrate it. That just happens to be what these characters do. They do these things.
You could say that the radical characters were terrorists, but the movie also shows that the radical characters, they're kind of like fucked up and stoner losers. They're all
disorganized. They're disorganized.
Dumb jackasses, most of them.
Yeah, they're disorganized. One of them's a rat. You know what I mean? Like one of them fucks the enemy. You know what I mean? Like, and also the as far as the Sean Penn character and the Christmas adventurers and all this shit, the idea, what you were just saying about how like the right reacts as though they're offended. I'm like, what about this is something that you don't agree or that you agree with? Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, why is this? Like, what are you defending here? I feel like everyone can get on board with the Sean Penn character being a bad person. Like, that's...
the Sean Penn character, he's like almost like he's like a cartoon of like a 1950s, this total white separatist, racist guy, So if you see that and you go, "Oh my God, they're talking about me," it's like, okay, you got some issues you gotta examine.
It seems pretty clear that they're bad. Like I feel like it's not about them being right wing bad. They're just bad and they happen to be on the right, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that kind of.
It's like a cartoon, like whatever. Nazi in a with a fort on the far side of the moon or something kind of character.
He's amazing. To me electric, absolutely
so over the top. But yeah, I thought just as a movie, I thought it was kind of as far as Paul Thomas Anderson, I thought it was kind of mid tier, but it was really good.
Some people say that. I don't know. I really loved it. Yeah.
I didn't think it was bad. I think he's made 3 or 4 movies that are better.
You put it. Well, I know the 3 you put ahead of it. There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, and Boogie Nights, right? But what's the 4th? What's the 4th that's on the you may be also putting? Is it Licorice Pizza? Is that your current 4th?
I'm trying to remember the list so I don't contradict.
I remember you tweeted about it. Licorice Pizza. When I first saw One Battle After Another, I was like, "Oh, this is his best film since The Master," which is a movie I freaking love. And then I watched it again, and I was like, "I don't know if I might like Licorice Pizza more." I love Licorice Pizza. That movie. I have a poster of it in my living room. The reactions to that movie drive me insane. But isn't it interesting that movie the left was annoyed by? And then One Battle After Another they embrace. So this is why I was like, Brace and Ellis would have been a good vehicle. Maybe I'm just thinking you would be, to like have explained the difference there. That it's like you can have something you agree with or disagree with, and it doesn't have to be the whole reaction that you have to the movie. Kind of
what we were talking about before with Licorice Pizza. People have a real problem now of telling the difference between like portraying something and endorsing it. They think that like the fact that the babysitter or whatever is kind of goes on a date with like the underage guy. Mm-hmm. People think that means that the movie is somehow endorsing that behavior or whatever.
Right.
It's obviously not.
It's meant to be awkward. It's meant to be awkward.
An awkward, inappropriate, weird.
Early 70s, it was a little bit more acceptable type of weird thing. Like it's on this weird fence. Also, people are upset in the movie, and no one even has sex. There's no sex.
They never even kiss. I don't even think they ever.
They kiss once. They kiss at the end. Another thing, they kiss that one time at the end. And I also think that, well, in real life, he was 18 or whatever. If we want to get into the weeds on that, Cooper was 18 and she was like in her early 20s or whatever. In the movie, she keeps lying about her age. I think she's younger in the movie. I think her character is actually younger. I think her character is more like 20 and he's 15, because her whole character is on this precipice of like, she still lives with her parents. She's trying really hard to be an adult, but she's still kind of stuck in this kind of childlike world. So she's torn between,
That's the whole entire point of her character. Mm-hmm, she gradually realizes, like, what's wrong with? Why am I still hanging out with like high school boys? This is really sad. I really need to grow up. Like, that's the point of the character,
And every attempt she does to grow up, to like get a guy that's older, like the Sean Penn character or this Benny Safdie character who turns out to be, gay and using her as a beard. Like they all just let her down. Like literally, Sean Penn just like drops her in the middle of his motorcycle thing and doesn't even care about her after that. Just goes hang out with Tom Waits. You know what I mean? And like, you know what I mean? So like her attempts to be with anybody that's not Gary, like they all disappoint her. He's the only one that doesn't disappoint. So it's all torn between all those things. There's just a lot more there than has been simply written off, which drives me nuts.
And I think the whole thing with her character is they kind of have the whole thing where when the van's out of gas and that, you know, and at the end of,
I love that part.
And then the boys, the teenage boys, are all like, yeah, they're having a fun adventure and they're having, you know, it's like a wacky good time. And then she kind of sits down on the sidewalk and thinking like, this is so fucking sad that I'm like in my 20s and I'm hanging out with these dumb kids, you know.
Right.
That was like her moment of realizing that I really need to get out of here, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Another clue that she might be 20 is that she never orders a drink for herself. I'm pretty sure in the whole movie. I think other people always order drinks for her.
Yeah, and then she's kind of trying to. On the one hand, she's trying to be older than she is, and
and so is he. So is he.
Right.
You know, I mean, every like the older guys are trying to be younger than they are. Like the Sean Penn character is being a fucking reckless teenager on that motorcycle, essentially, right? You know, being like a big kid. You know what I mean? Like, it's. I just think it's a wonderful film. I had the soundtrack too. I love the soundtrack.
I used to listen to the Boogie Nights soundtrack nonstop. So.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Well, I think your phone is almost dead.
It is.
My nose is getting stuffed up.
Gotcha, no problem. Yeah, I got you. It's good. I got to put the kid to bed, so perfect time. That'll work.
And you've got like 35 kids now, so.
Just the two, but my daughter's a night owl like me, so she'll stay up super late if I don't help her get down. So.
Well, I'm sorry to people in the questions if I wasn't answering that many questions from the comments. If I wasn't answering that many questions from the comments. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Okay.
That sounds right.
See, my head cold. I'm losing my ability to think.
It's all good.
So I'm sorry if you had questions I didn't answer, but I'll do another live stream again soon. And I hope that was kind of entertaining to watch. But yeah, my cold's coming back. Jared's phone is dying. So thank you guys for watching. And sorry if I missed your question. I'll try to get to it next time. But his channel is Vanilla Skynet. If you don't know his channel, go check it out. He's got lots of cool videos, movie reviews, historic videos, interviews with directors and stuff. So it's a lot of good stuff. So I'm clicking my hands because I did his follow-up question. I know that you had a follow-up to a follow-up, and I know that I didn't reply to it. But, yeah, guys, really, the head cold's starting to get to me, and Jared has to go. So I hope you guys had fun with the stream. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks, guys.
And, yeah, I'll do another stream again soon. So see everybody later.
Nice talking with you, Rick.
Have a good night.
See you, man.